In my sophomore year, I ran into my senior in the library. He had just returned from an internship at a Wall Street investment bank. His well-dressed suit and tie made the entire self-study room pale in comparison. At that time, I was staying up late doing practice questions for my GPA, looking at the night view photos of Manhattan on his phone. I suddenly felt that life should be like this, rushing into a prestigious university, earning a high salary, and standing at the top of the pyramid. It was not until 5 years later when I met him in a coffee shop in Chengdu, and he showed me a newly published novel in canvas shoes, that I realized some truths of life can only be understood after falling down. The truth concealed by standardized screening, my growth path was very much like a product on an assembly line. I was admitted to a provincial key primary school, won an award in a national competition, ranked among the top 500 in the province in the college entrance examination, and finally went to Columbia University with a full scholarship. When I was a sophomore in the Department of Journalism at Fudan University, back then I firmly believed that society was a ladder built with academic qualifications, internships, and salaries, just like in a game. I must accumulate all the experience points to pass the level. But reality soon revealed its flaws. 3 years later, an outstanding student from the same class who went to Goldman Sachs called me crying on the streets of Hong. I work 18 hours a day, but I don't even know why I want to do mergers and acquisitions. The roommate who failed the course and had to retake it after graduation opened a homestay in Dali. Now, he takes guests on foot in Yubing. The starry sky in his WeChat moments is more dazzling than any investment bank report. The most shocking thing was my cousin. He graduated from the high school, affiliated to Renmin, University of China, and went to MIT. However, after obtaining his doctorate, he sold his house in Beijing and went to Yunnan to grow coffee beans. After smelling the reagents in the laboratory for 10 years, I realized that my favorite was the earthy smell. These stories remind me of Charles in the Moon and Sixpence, the stockbroker who suddenly abandoned his wife and children to learn painting. When I was young, I always thought he was crazy. Later, I came to understand that when a person's inner desires deviate from the track of reality, the power of mean repulsion will eventually pull him back to his true path. The dynamic balance of desire and ability when working in Silicon Valley. I once supervised an intern. He graduated from a prestigious university, and his modeling speed is faster than anyone else's. But he is always absent-minded when doing industry research reports. Until one day when he worked overtime until the early hours of the morning, he suddenly said, "Actually, I want to be a stand-up comedian." Later, he quit his job and went to a comedy club. Now he has millions of fans on YouTube, and the jokes he tells are all about the black humor of investment banks. This reminds me of the elective course teacher in college. He was originally a Wall Street trader, but resigned at the age of 35 to teach. When I found that I was less excited in front of the K-line chart than in front of the blackboard, I knew it was time to leave. He often says, "Money can help you achieve 80 points. But to reach 100 points, you must rely on the passion deep in your bones." Just like Kobe practiced basketball at 4 in the morning, it wasn't for the contract, but basketball had long been ingrained in his genes. In economics, there is a concept called diminishing marginal utility, which is equally applicable to life. I have seen fund managers with an annual salary of over 1 million yuan in the meeting room. And I have also seen editors with a monthly salary of 3,000 stay up all night for a viral article. When material satisfaction reaches a certain level, what determines your sense of happiness is no longer the number on your bank card, but whether you are living in your own desires. The moment of awakening of self-awareness, I quit my job without notice at the age of 28. In an office building in Lujizadri, Shanghai, I was staring at the PPT on the computer screen when suddenly I recalled that afternoon, when I taught The Little Prince to the children during my volunteer teaching in Yunnan. The sunlight shone through the window on their upturned faces. That pure joy touched my heart more than any year-end bonus. After resigning, I did 2 things, trial and error through a gap year. When cycling to Qinghai Lake, I met a herdsman and followed him to herd yaks for 3 months. While learning pottery in Jingdezhen, my fingers got calluses from the clay, but I screamed when the first complete teacup was fired. Write a self-observation diary. Ask yourself 3 questions before going to bed every day. What did you focus the most on today? Which moment made me want to swear? If I lose my job tomorrow, what will I do first? Half a year later, in a youth hostel in Dunhuang, I suddenly burst into tears while looking at the flying Apsaurus on the murals. At that moment, I knew that what I truly wanted to do was to connect people and stories through words. Later, I became a freelance writer. Though my income was unstable, I could feel the excitement of my heart racing in every interview. A life algorithm that is more important than success nowadays. I often go to universities to give presentations. There are always people asking, how can I find what I truly want to do? My answer is very simple. 1. Use the elimination method to break down oneself. List the absolutely intolerable things. For example, I can't accept wearing formal clothes every day and can't accept office politics. Marking things that make you forget time. I forget to eat when writing articles and forget to be tired when cycling. Recording unconscious repetitive actions. I always subconsciously observed passers-by and later found that this was the source of inspiration for my writing. 2. Calibrate the coordinates in practice. Last year, I went to Xinjiang to interview beekeepers. I thought it would be romantic, but I was shocked by the hard work of moving beehives every day. Well, when I saw the bees dancing in the sea of flowers and the sparkle in the eyes of the beekeeper, his wife, when she talked about honey, I suddenly understood. Love is not about romance, but the impulse to persist, despite knowing the hardship. 3. Allow for positive values in life, my friend. Xiaowo used to be a VP of an investment bank. She quit her job and opened a flower shop, but lost all her savings during the pandemic. But now she teaches flower arrangement on a short video platform. Though I've taken a detour, at least I know I'm not cut out for finance. It's just as one needs to constantly adjust the course when sailing. Self-awareness is inherently a process of dynamic balance, written in The Final Awakening. Last week, when I returned to my alma mater, I saw my younger schoolmates crowded at the job fair, each holding a carefully wrapped resume in their hands. I recall that I was the same back then, writing about my internship experiences in a flowery way, but never asking, are these really what I want? Education gives us knowledge, but fails to teach us to decode ourselves. Just as Buffett said, life is like a snowball. What matters is to find the wet snow and the long slope. And the so-called wet snow is the longing you are willing to burn for. The long slope refers to the field that enables you to keep investing. May we all understand early on that life is not about living as the correct answer in others' eyes, but about finding a way to live that brings peace of mind through continuous self-questioning. After all, true success is when you reach a certain point in your life and can tell yourself, in this life I haven't let down the real me in my heart.